Hey guys, today it is Sunday, September 6th, 2020, and now that the calendar has flipped to September, and now that it's been a couple of weeks since the last one, it is once again time for us to do yet another Rockzilla's bi-weekly roundup video. So, as of right now, let's see, so today is September 6th, so in 2 weeks from now is September 20th. So in 2 weeks from now, the NFL will have started, and by then I will have a bit more of an idea of whether I'm going to move forward with going back to the weekly roundup format or not. So truth is, guys, I still haven't made up my mind on that, but we'll see. So in 2 weeks from now, I'm thinking that that could be the last bi-weekly roundup video. And then 2 weeks later in early October, in time for the Canadian Thanksgiving long weekend, next month in October, that is probably when I say, okay, everybody, Rockzilla is going back to the weekly roundup format. So just something I thought I'd pass along, but I do think that in a couple of weeks from now is going to be the last time I do a video where a roundup video where there's 2 weeks between it and the next one. So I've decided that for the most part, that I'm going to be switching back to the weekly format next month. So now, if the NFL is not able to complete their 2021 season, I guess, or 2020 season, yeah, they call it a 2020 season, then I may be more inclined to stick with the bi-weekly format. But if I find that the NFL is having success and they're not having issues with COVID-19, then maybe, just maybe, we can move back to the weekly format, which is what I would honestly prefer myself, eh? So yeah, there's that. What was I gonna say on that front too? So yeah, the good news is that the NFL does start up next week. Next Sunday, we go back to having NFL on TV, and this will be the first time in 6 months that we've had any type of football to watch on TV, because the XFL was shut down in March. Now, the CFL was supposed to happen this year like it always does, but sadly, they canceled it due to COVID-19. So, okay, now with you American viewers, I'm sure most of you don't watch the CFL, but for us Canadian folk like myself, the Canadian Football League is a really, really great thing to watch during the summer months. In my opinion, it just is. So there is that. Now, with the NFL coming back, it's going to be a challenge, because they've got, I think, 52 player rosters for on the sidelines or during game day. So that's a lot of people before you start adding coaching staff and trainers and medical staff and blah, blah, blah. So it's going to be a real interesting situation. But I think I touched base on this in my last roundup video, though. This NFL season will be a major litmus test to see if football is doable in the COVID era or in the pandemic. If the NFL can successfully complete this season, then what'll end up happening is that I think that next year we will have the XFL return and the Canadian Football League return in 2021. So that would be nice. That's for sure. So with baseball too, I think their season is already done at the end of this month, like the usual. With the shortened season, I haven't really been, because of the hockey coming back on, I've honestly I haven't followed baseball much at all. But I do think that, yeah, what was I going to say? With baseball, it's looking like they've basically, for the most part, got the COVID situation under control, which is huge. If they can complete the regular season, then I think their chances of completing a 2020 season start to finish are way higher and are most likely going to be successful in that regard, which I think is good. So that's a plus. So something I will briefly talk about here today too is I've seen the Buffalo Sabres new uniforms. It's great that Buffalo's gone back to royal blue. I think I did touch base on this in my last one, or Roundup video, but I will say this though. What was Buffalo thinking with the white stripes in their striping? That's just like the piping they had before that everybody, including myself, wanted gone for the most part. I don't know. I just think that with Buffalo, they overthought the process on their home uniform. Their away jersey is perfect. Even with that Adidas collar, they've done it right. A simple, plain blue collar. They took an awful collar and a terrible template and they made it work on their away uniform. It looks great. But the home uniform, man, I just wish they wouldn't have included those thin white stripes. What the hell was Buffalo thinking? And as for the embroidery on the Buffalo itself in their logo, I do think that's actually pretty cool. I do think that's actually pretty cool that they've done that. It's definitely something that nobody else has done. So I do think the Sabres deserve some credit there. It's a detail that from a distance you will not really notice it at all. But up close you will see it and really get to enjoy that little detail. And truth is Buffalo's new away uniform is a uniform that I would actually like to consider buying. I may consider buying because it is a great uniform, and I still think that Buffalo should have never gone away from their original uniforms, to be quite honest. But yeah, so with that in mind, I kind of want to talk a little bit about uniforms and some of the series. So with the Islanders-Flyers series, that was one of the nicest uniform matchups I've seen. It was a beautiful looking jersey matchup, game in and game out. I mean, Philadelphia, New York look terrific. Their uniforms, the Islanders and the Flyers jerseys are just beautiful. And I honestly, I know people have different opinions, but I don't understand how some people would want to even see the Flyers or the Islanders change their uniforms. Those two teams' uniforms are just so damn pretty. But I do have a nitpick about the Flyers jerseys though. And it's not the design that I'm going to nitpick. It's the template from Adidas, the Adi Zero template that I want to nitpick. Because I noticed that the Flyers jerseys look more clunky, more boxy, because they're forced to be designed within the Adi Zero template. And I don't know about you viewers out there. I don't know if anybody's going to agree with me on this, but I don't know what it is about the Flyers jerseys since Adidas has taken over, but they still look good. I mean, the Flyers uniforms are the Flyers uniforms. They still look great. But I do feel that when the Reebok jerseys were being used instead of the Adi Zero, the Flyers uniforms, just the edge template suited the Flyers jerseys much better. It's just, they didn't look as boxy. They didn't look squared up and clunky looking. It's tough to describe, but during the Reebok Edge years, the Flyers uniforms, the 70s uniforms, they've thankfully gone back to. And yes, I am extremely biased there. I just find that the Reebok version of the Flyers home and away uniforms look so much nicer than the Adidas version. It's just, they look more boxy because they're forced to be confined within the Adizero template. And that's something that also pisses me off with uniforms with Adidas now. Everything is based on the Adizero uniform system rather than the design of the uniform. And it's just something I don't like. So then with that, you get teams that are stuck looking clunky with this big boxy template and these dimples on the shoulders. I'm sorry, even 3 years later, I still can't get behind Adizero. I'm just not a fan of the template. I'm not a fan of the colors. And yeah, and another thing I noticed too is that I find that shoulder yokes are oversized now too. That's something else I noticed. Where before with Reebok, they had a nice size. The size of the shoulder yokes was actually reasonable. They weren't too small. They weren't too big. They were just right. Now with Adidas, I just feel things are a little bit too clunky. And obviously that's a matter of personal opinion and bias, of course. But that's how I feel. Yeah, so what was I going to say? So far with the sports, things have actually been going really well. And now that the second round is over, we now only have 4 teams left. But there is going to be a bit of a test, though, in my opinion, because with Tampa Bay and the Islanders having to relocate to Edmonton, because now they're going to have the 4 teams left in Edmonton. The thing about that is that I do think they should be okay. If they're going from one bubble in Toronto to another bubble in Edmonton, they should probably be okay. But what concerns me a bit is that there's always a potential to be possibly they could be in a bit of a risky situation moving from Toronto to Edmonton, in my opinion. I'm sure they've got things in place where that's not going to be an issue. And personally, I do think it's good. They're just going to have everybody finish up in Edmonton. I mean, Edmonton's a much smaller population area than Toronto. So I do think the odds of having COVID-19 issues for the NHL, having the 4 final teams in Edmonton, are much lower there than Toronto. But yeah, I personally believe that if they can just get the Islanders and the Tampa Bay Lightning and get them sent over to Edmonton, get them out of the Toronto bubble, get them to Edmonton, then as long as they don't have any new COVID outbreaks, I think that the NHL will be able to complete this 2020 Stanley Cup postseason. It's going to be incredible. But, you know, I must say, so far, they've done really well. I'm really happy about it. I'm not going to lie. But speaking of things that have brought me a lot of joy, I've actually been really impressed with the Vancouver Canucks. Now, people were saying, oh, they can beat Vegas. They can beat Vegas. I kept telling everybody I know, the Canucks will not beat Vegas. And I was right. Sorry to be patting myself on the back and making myself sound like an all-knowing, you know, holier-than-thou hockey aficionado. I'm not. But, you know, I must say I have been so impressed with the Vancouver Canucks. This team of young players, they had no business in the second round, in my opinion. They didn't even have any business beating St. Louis, in my opinion. But here we are. They got all the way to Game 7 of the second round against the Vegas Golden Knights. And that Thatcher Demko guy, what a goaltender. And what about Jacob Markstrom? He was great too. Right now, the Canucks have a pair of really good, excellent goaltenders. I mean, Bo Horvat, Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson. I mean, that Canucks team and Tyler Toffoli, I must say, that Canucks team was exciting to watch. I'm so impressed that they got to the second round. But something else that I must say about the Canucks uniforms that I do want to talk about here, because I want to make sure that this weekly roundup is a little bit of uniform-based discussion, because that's what I do, eh? But with the Canucks, I noticed that Vancouver word mark off of their jersey certainly makes them a lot better. I do think that the Vancouver word mark is a good thing to get rid of. Was a good thing to get rid of. The one thing, though, is, you know, the home uniform is okay. I mean, it's got a traditional style, but there's something about the color and the brightness of their away uniform that I've always loved. Now, the number and lettering font and the Orca logo and the white stick and rink shoulder patch, I'm not a fan of. But that jersey is very good. There's something about the Kelly green and the royal blue on white that looks very pretty. And, you know, if the Canucks decided to go to the stick and rink, I think that would be the best choice for sticking with royal blue and Kelly green. Or one of my viewers has shared an opinion that just made my day, because honestly, I've been wanting this for years myself. And my one viewer, Andre, I don't know if you're watching this video, Andre, but I totally agree with you. It's time for the Canucks to do a Kelly green alternate uniform. And personally, I would really like to see the Canucks do a Kelly green alternate with Johnny Canuck as well. I totally agree with you there, Andre. I definitely feel that it's time for a Kelly green third jersey for Vancouver. And I'd like to see the Canucks do a jersey with Johnny Canuck. It's long overdue. Long overdue. Their current third, the Heritage uniform, in my opinion, is a monochromatic eyesore. It sucked. It was a garbage uniform. I mean, if they want to keep it for one more season, okay, fine. They brought it in for the 50th anniversary. For that reason, I'm okay with it short term, but honestly, I hope that they wear it for one more year and get rid of it after that. You know, the Canucks have gone back to royal blue and Kelly green for 13 years now, and they've never done a Kelly green jersey. And I remember back in 2008 when they were planning on launching their longtime Reebok era third jersey, there was talk that the Canucks were planning on a Kelly green third jersey, and they never did. Instead, they went with the modernized stick and rink third jersey they had from 2007 through to 2017. And now that the Canucks, I don't know, now that the Canucks have updated their uniforms a little bit, you know, now that, you know, years later, we're still with the Orca, which I wish they'd get rid of the Orca. I've been saying that for a long time. You know, I think it's time for the Canucks to do a Kelly green jersey. And I'd like to see one with Johnny Canuck on the front, and certainly not the Orca. It's time for something new. And another thing with Vancouver, I certainly hope that at the bare minimum, they will keep the skate jersey as a fourth jersey. But I do agree with those who say that it would make a great third jersey. I certainly would be happy if the Canucks did that, because to me that would be the first step in correcting a decades-long wrong of having that Orca as their logo, that corporate Orca. Yes, it is corporate. It is a logo that was brought in by Orca Bay when they purchased the Canucks back in the mid-90s, when they were at one point even considering changing the team's name to the Vancouver Orcas. True story. Most people probably don't know that. So if I can even educate one person on that and convince them that the Orcas got to go, that's a win in my book. All right, folks, I've been talking for 20 minutes. I'm actually really impressed that I managed to get this video to go for that long. So while I'm on a high, I am going to fold. And there's an old saying, know when to hold and know when to fold. I know now this is a good time for me to fold on this video, pull back while I'm up, and give myself a bit of a pat on the back here. But anyways, folks, I'm going to wrap up this video. Truth is, there is some things I'd like to take care of today outside of the channel. So I'm going to leave this video here at this note, or at this point. And if you did listen to this video start to finish, I hope you enjoyed it. There was even a brief cameo from a white moth. I don't think it's a butterfly. I think it's a cabbage moth, or a cabbage leaf moth, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this kind of scenic, hopefully scenic little backdrop today. I thought I'd change it up. This is going to be a wrap for this video. I hope it was worth your time if you watched. And until my next video, you guys take care. And of course, as always, bye for now. And another thing, if I have some time today or tomorrow, I do plan on updating some of the titles of my videos. I noticed that there's some titles that I have not updated in weeks. I want to take care of that today. And to my one viewer, Nick, don't worry, I will have a new concept in the concept showcase on Discord today too. All right, guys, take care. And as always, bye for now. This is now a wrap. All right.